fast, efficient and affordable business-grade hosting solutions, domain registration, SSL certificates and more. We also monitor and provide website security and update services, website builds, email hosting amongst other sensational products. If you have a question about your web page or your presence on the internet in general, no job is too big or too small. Visit our website today, or better yet, contact us at blueoceanwebhosting.com.au and leave your website issues to us.
Big ones, little ones, fiddly ones, powerful ones, the ones for the car or the truck, caravan, boat, mobility scooter, solar system. In fact, for any kind of battery, go straight to Battery Central Ipswich. They'll even help you when you know what you need to power, but have no idea what'll do the job. Battery Central Ipswich, 280 Brisbane Street, West Ipswich, behind the Yellow Building. Expert advice, better batteries, best prices, every day. That's Battery Central Ipswich.
Welcome to episode 734 of Aussie Tech Heads. I'm Jason Oakley and this is Will Tompkinson. Hey, Will.
Hey, mate.
How is it going up in Goodzone?
Bloody cold.
Bloody cold.
We're like -2 or something this morning.
Aren't you just around the corner from the equator or something?
I'm not friends with them. I don't know them that well, I'm sorry.
Never been invited over.
Yeah, no, it was... not only was it like -2, which is fine, I can deal with it, but it topped out at like 16 degrees, which is highly unusual. That's the weird part.
Nice range.
And it was windy with wind chill at like 10 degrees or something, so it was just the last couple of days, it's just been bizarre weather.
Yeah, I've got a tower heater that I bought that oscillates and stuff, and I put that next to me now and just have it on while I'm working. It blows past the computer, and I've got the cat tower next to me now, so I can look out the window, and the cats just climb up on there, and all the heat goes up there. So they're like, "This is nice," which is better than when I had the little box heater and the cats would sit right in front of it, and I got none of the heat because they're like, "Hey, this is great for cats. I'll just sit here all day." I'm like, "What about? I'm freezing. Hello."
It was not for sits. Why is it made of warm?
Exactly.
Yes.
If I fit, I sits.
I had a friend of mine's cat. They used to have an oil, the oil heaters with the...
Yep.
It used to sleep on top of the oil heater, which, fine. It's not that hot. But the oil heater died, and they just went down to Woolies or wherever it was and got one of those $20 fan heaters.
Oh, yeah.
And it was nice and warm, so the cat curled up and went to sleep on top of that. Except that the cat hair got caught in the fur. Well, the fur got caught in the fan, stopped the fan, and overheated the elements, which, yes, technically there was thermal protection in it, but it wasn't really quick enough to do its job. And so it caught the top of the plastic on fire above the where the hot air normally blows out.
Oh,
it started smouldering along there, and the cat's just sitting there going, "Huh."
What the heck is that all about?
They've come to the room. They're like, "Why is that burnt plastic? What's going on?" They're looking and going, "Oh, I better check that heater just in case." They wander over to the corner. Here's the heater, the front of the heater on fire, and the cat's sitting over going, "That's still warm."
Toasty for cats.
So,
and he turned it off and put the fire out. The cat's like, "Well, I never. That was my spot, you bastard."
So needless to say, they never got another one of those.
Cat or heater?
Well, yeah. No, they went.
I got one.
I
of
had the cat
those
for another 10 years or something.
Small oil heater things and tried it out, and I took it back. I said, "I don't think this could keep my closet warm, let alone the rest of the bedroom."
It's surprising. I've got a little 1, 2, 3. I think it's a little 6-rib one.
Yep.
It's not real big, but I put it under the desk, and yeah, because I've got the way my desk is situated, I've got basically an old curtain all the way around it.
Yeah.
So the heater just sits under the desk and it heats up under there, then it just radiates up the front of the desk, so it actually works really well. But these days, if I wanted to, if I had a decent graphics card, I could just do mining and that'd heat the room up as well.
Mine does. It's currently on like 75 degrees for one of the cards.
Well, the funny thing is the oil heater's only rated at 750 watts, but the graphics card at full output's rated at 1,000 watts, so the graphics card actually gets hotter than the heater does.
That's a better idea. You want to hope you got a lot of solar for that, son?
Yeah, well, I can't do it at the moment anyway, because, dodgy and all that.
Yeah.
It's on my to-do list. I only need a couple of months off to fulfill my to-do list. I'll be fine.
You never get a rest when you have a break.
I know, right? I work harder on my holidays than I do when I'm at work.
Yep. I've made another purchase. Should be arriving by next Wednesday. So next Thursday show we should have my shiny new Game Boy Color.
Now, but it's not actually a Game Boy Color, is it? It's a traditional Game Boy case.
No, it's a Game Boy Color with a refurbished case.
Oh, because the case looks different. I'm looking at it going, what looks?
Yeah, it's designed to look like the DMG original. Game Boy, but it's got new case, new buttons, and everything. So it looks really nice. But it's Game Boy Color, so. I never had a Game Boy when I was growing up. I didn't know anyone who did, which is surprising after I'd been thinking about it. I thought, surely I must know. We had a lot of people I knew had little Game & Watch things and stuff like that, but I don't think I ever knew anyone who had a Game Boy. So this would be my first.
Yeah.
I thought I might try developing a game or two on there for something different.
I never had one, but a couple of my friends did, and we used to have the link cable and used to play 2 games. One was Pokemon.
Yep.
I can't think what the other one was, but we used to, But the biggest problem is the thing took 6 batteries, I think it was, and lasted like an hour.
All right.
Just long enough. We figured out we could throw a set of fresh batteries. Like we had rechargeables for them.
Yep.
They put a set in on the bus on the way to school. They'd use that set on the way to school, and then at lunchtime they'd swap out, put their other set in, and then use that. So they'd use 2 sets of batteries in less than 2 hours.
It's all gone.
They're just insane. But I had the Lynx. The Sega.
Oh, yeah.
The
Atari
Sega
Lynx.
Oh, the Atari Lynx, sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
No, it wasn't the Atari. Yes, it was. It was. I thought it was the other one. No, it was actually, the Atari Lynx.
Yep.
And that thing took, I think it was 6 or 8 AA's, but it lasted like 4 hours.
Oh.
And it was a bigger screen. It was a color screen. It was stereo audio. Like...
Nice upgrade.
It had everything happening going for it, and it was,
They have some good games. What were some of the games you played on?
The quality was really good. I had what I used to play on it a lot. I used to play can't think now. Altered Beast was one of them.
Yep. That was really popular on Amiga, I think.
And it was Outrun or one of the car games. But yeah, I really liked it. Like you could actually see the screen. Like, and the other cool part was in the daylight you could see the screen, whereas the Game Boy was just atrocious. It was, man, it was so bad. We spent more time trying to find somewhere we could play it than actually playing at halftime.
Yeah.
And then the Game Boy Mini came out, and it was just as bad.
Oh, jeez.
But then the color came out, and the color. A friend of mine got the first color because it came out with the Pokemon Gold or something game.
Yep.
And he got the combo. It was like the first one they released, and it absolutely destroyed batteries. Like 25 minutes or something on a set of batteries.
Wow.
Yeah, it came with he had this power pack that you could plug into where you'd normally plug your AC adapter in. But it had like a bum bag sort of deal that had like 20 batteries.
You needed it.
That would just plug in. It was so bad, yeah. And if you linked them together, it was even worse. You used to use even more power.
Shoots very fast.
So,
well, people probably know I got the Anbernic
how's that been going?
GPM. It's really good. It's basically a Linux device that has emulators for all the different systems.
It's effectively a Linux version of main.
Sega Master Systems and NES and all the different Game Boys and everything just runs on there. And I found, as I was looking through a lot of games, because I bought a cartridge to plug into the Game Boy Color, and it's called an EverDrive X5, and it lets you put a little micro SD card with all your Game Boy ROMs, and you plug that into the EverDrive and plug that into your Game Boy, and then you can select whichever game, and you can have hundreds of games all in the one SD card and then play whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
And So I got that, so I can do that. But also because I wanted, as I said, I wanted to maybe try and develop a game or two, so I can quickly put it on an SD card, boot up the device, try it out, see what does work, what doesn't work, and then, but on the real hardware. But I also can do it on this device, which I was just playing earlier. I joined there's a subreddit called Game Boy, and they have Game of the Month, and they'll pick a game, and everybody who wants to join in takes a photo of themselves playing that game. Just screen on your phone, just screenshot the game that you're playing on your Game Boy or your emulator or whatever, and then you stick it on there, and they give you points if you prove that you're playing the game, and then if you complete certain objectives in the game, like you play half the game or get to a certain stage, take a photo and all this sort of stuff, and that by the end of the month they tally up all the points for everyone who's joined in with this, and then the next month they start with a completely different game from scratch and then go through and do that as well. So there was one that I downloaded, I thought I liked the idea of, and it's called Warlocked,
Yeah.
and it's basically Warcraft, but on the Game Boy Color. You've got these little guys that you have to send out to gather resources. They go up to a cave and start mining for stuff in there, and then you chop down trees and you build out a little village, and you can make towers to defend your village or go attack the other enemy villages and take them over, and they give you objectives and stuff, and it's really good. It's got speech, which I didn't even know the Game Boy had speech. You click on one of your guys and he's like, "Yes, master." Send him up into the cave right away. Comes back and does all the stuff, and it's really, really a lot of fun. So I thought I wanted to try that because I like that kind of strategy game, even though I haven't really played that many of them. And a lot of websites had recommended that one, and it just happened to be the game of the month for this month. But it's only got like, what is it, not just over a week before this month's finished anyway, and we'll be on to the next game. But I really wanted to try it out, so I thought I'll join this subreddit and post pictures of me doing this and see if I can get onto it. And I also joined the Discord server for Game Boy development, and also just the Game Boy subreddit Discord server. So talking to some people on there about Game Boy things and have a lot of fun. So be cool to have another new toy.
Speaking of retro stuff, there's a mod available now for
Duke Nukem. They got that on the Game Boy Color Duke Nukem.
And it's a widescreen mod, so you can, like, traditionally, and one of the complaints I always had with Duke, and I know I was reading through the comments, a lot of other people had it too, was it always seemed so far zoomed in, you never had time to react because it seemed to be happening so quick. Because if you look there, you've got such a small, you've only got, what, a dozen frames in each direction?
Yeah.
But once you activate the widescreen mod, you've got so much more things. You can see enemies coming, and so
it's funny because the guy on that video is like, they seem to have stretched it out, and it doesn't affect the graphics. I'm like, no, they haven't stretched. They're just giving you more gameplay area.
They've actually modded it to physically. Well, you can see there where the original screen was, like that, where the end of that health bar is there. That's where
how much you got
you originally had. They've basically said, well, instead of having, I don't know what they've had, let's say instead of having 64, or 256 pixels wide, you've got 512 now. They haven't, they haven't amplified it and stretched it like a lot of them do. And that's what my issue with the Nintendo that I've got, the baby Nintendo, that's what it does for widescreen. It physically stretches the pixels.
And everything looks shit.
And everything looks wrong. Instead of going, why don't we just give you a bigger playing field, which is obviously there because the game is there to have a bigger playing field.
Yeah, it works really well.
There's a Jazz Jackrabbit one called Open Rabbit, I think it's called. I used to play it years ago. And that's all it did. It rectangled all the pixels.
Oh, right.
And it just went fuzzy and blurry, and it just looked horrible.
I'm sure I played Jazzy Jackrabbit back in the day.
Jazz Jackrabbit's cool. Yeah. I love that game. Yeah. So, but
do they have it for Game Boy? That's the question.
Well, a lot of the stuff, well, as you know, by developing games, there's a lot of games that are very similar, but not actually the game. You can have games that are similar to the game, and they call them that, but they're not really that game.
They got Jazz Jackrabbit for Nintendo Game Boy Advance,
Yeah,
but not for the Game Boy Color. So
there'd be too
they
much
must
going
have.
on.
But I was surprised they could get Duke Nukem runs on it all right, apparently. So I'll have to try that out next.
Yeah, but I mean, any of those side scrollers, there's not a lot happening at once, really. You know, Diddle of the Jungle and Commander Keen and all that. There's not a lot going on at any one time.
Yeah, there's Commander Keen. I'm going to play that on my Game Boy Color when it arrives.
So,
Did you have the photo of it, or I could send it to you? The Game Boy Color.
it's on Discord, and I haven't got Discord open at the moment.
Ah.
But yeah, I was actually trying to find it before and I couldn't. But yeah, it's interesting to see once you get it, do a review on it and see what it's like.
Yeah.
But
I'll bring it out. Everyone can check it out now.
Yeah, there's a big retro revival coming back. You know, which is paramount by the prices that people are paying for stuff now. You look on eBay and you look at old, you know, like 5-inch portable TVs.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be a throwaway item. Now people are charging, you know, $400-500 for.
Let's see. Even just looking for the Game Boy cartridges, I'm looking online, and some of them like $115. Like, no, I'll just download the ROM then.
Yeah, that's it. You know, so there's a
What the heck is that?
Sonic. Puts on a little 5.5-inch portable TV. You know.
I didn't know they had one with fish in the background.
Yeah, I think it was the second one. Sonic and Knuckles. So
I sent you the picture on Facebook.
Fast.
too many buttons.
We're professionals, damn it.
Professional what though? That's
Didn't I
the
tell you
issue.
that?
We're professionals. We just haven't figured out what at.
Yeah. We can be professional gophers.
So
Jack of all trades as well.
no, you didn't. You thought you did, but you didn't really. But yeah, I don't have a picture, a image. You didn't.
Wait, there's somebody in Facebook.
You sent it to somebody. I don't know who you sent it to. It wasn't me.
Will Tompkins, wasn't it?
Oh dear. We know what we're doing. Anybody who says otherwise has never watched the show.
Facebook's crap anyway.
Yeah, well, there's that.
But something
There
there.
we go.
Doesn't it look pretty?
That's what threw me out of whack because it's an original cover, an original case, but a colour screen. I'm like, hang on, that doesn't. That's messing with my
I
head.
did a heap of research too, because you see a lot of people are selling them, but either the screen's got scratches and scrapes all over it, or the case has got scratches and scrapes. But also, some of them they don't take a photo of it booted up, so you're like, does it even start? I don't know. They say working order, but you're taking their word for it.
I mean,
but then
yeah, that's the thing too. A lot of them don't have cartridges to test them anyway.
Yeah. Then if they've got it turned on and it just says Nintendo Game Boy, does that mean it can read cartridges? I don't know, because you haven't plugged in a cartridge and shown me that it's actually running a game. So they could have problems where they've got problems with the contacts or something else makes it not read the cartridge, which is another problem. So I did heaps and heaps of research to try and find one where that one they've shown you like 6 different photos, so you can see the USB ports and power ports and earphone ports and everything to make sure they're not destroyed. And then the screen up close, and the screen up close with the Nintendo Game Boy logo, and then one with the game on it. So I'm like, okay, this must be all right. And obviously it's got no scratches because he put a new screen in and case and buttons. But I didn't look for one that's got the IPS screen, which apparently looks really nice, because I want to see what it actually looks like on a real device. But
the screen itself might be really good, but you're only still getting the resolution the device can put out.
Yeah. The resolution will be the same, just looks a lot crisper, and I think you don't need quite so much light to make it visible
Well,
enough to play.
They can backlight it so you can play it in the dark.
Yeah.
You know.
They got backlights and front lights and all sorts of stuff. I thought maybe down the track, if I can be bothered, I might get like a cheap Game Boy of some sort that on eBay doesn't work, and then see if I can work out, watching tutorials and stuff, how to make it work, or buy extra parts to make it work, and buy refurbished cases and screens and stuff, and then make it work and then sell it on eBay.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. It's, it depends on. There's so many reasons that it could work or it could not work. And that's part of the problem. You just don't know. A lot of the time they're on eBay, they really try to be fixed by 5 different people, and they're worse before they started.
Spare parts only.
Oh, that's interesting. Kogan are actually selling Game Boy Color front plates.
Oh, they got the front plate. They've also got a rechargeable battery on there, and you buy it, and it's got a 2-pack for like $28. So you can put one charging and one inside, and then you can swap them over and recharge the battery packs.
Yeah, interesting.
I'll see how I go with normal recharge batteries. I mean, I don't go out of the house much. I'm not going to be sitting on the train for an hour on the way to work playing a game or something. But
no, and a recharge pack lasts a lot longer than the old 4A4s as well. So,
yeah,
I think it should be fine.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
And that's Old Fart Geeks for this week.
Well, the complete opposite of that. Speaking of new and hip and groovy and
stuff
with it, so I think that's how it works these days. I am going to pick up our new work van tomorrow, and it is an electric van.
Woo!
So I've only been paying for it since February.
Oh, you'll pay for it, all right.
But getting an import from Japan. It's the Nissan ENV 200.
Yep.
It's a full-size van, can hold 2 pallets. The cargo space. It uses the Nissan Leaf driveline. Unfortunately, it's only got the 24 kilowatt battery pack, which limits you to about 120 k's real world. Obviously, less if you've got the heater cranking in the middle of winter. But for what we're doing, that's fine. We don't really do more than 60 or 80 k's in a day, so I can run all day. And even paying full tariff to recharge, it costs, assuming you completely drain the battery pack and you put, so it's 24 kilowatt total, it's 20 usable, and you're paying 20 cents a kilowatt. So assuming you completely drain your battery pack and fill up at a public fast charge, it costs you $4.
Oh man, can you afford that?
So that's pretty cool. Looking forward
it's
to
just
getting
been
that.
sitting on a boat for a while, hasn't it?
It's been sat on the. They won the auction middle of February.
Yep.
It got loaded onto the boat start of March. It was actually scheduled for delivery middle of April. The boat got here in the middle of April and sat out off the coast for like a month. So the middle of May, end of May, they actually unloaded the boat to the docks, but the dock workers are on strike at the moment, so it just sat there at the dock. And then I think it was the first week of this month, it went from the dock to the compliancing guy, and he did the compliancing and all that, and it was ready to pick up. I could have picked up Monday, but I had no way of getting up to the other side of Brisbane to pick it up.
Had to make sure there's no cocaine or nothing in there.
No, customs do that. They get them and they hose them down and decontaminate them and all that crap.
Chuck a dog in there.
Yeah, pretty much. And then it goes to Jap Import, all Jap Imports.
Yep.
And they run through and they've got to do some compliancing stuff to it. They've got to put some baby seat tie downs in it, and they've got to change a couple other bits and pieces, and just to make it compliant with our, change the colour of the indicators and stuff to, it's just to make it compliant. And so they've done all that, and then they rang me and goes, you can come pick it up. I'm actually going to do a video on the whole process because it's so damn painful, and there's so much. They tell you just enough, but they don't tell you everything. there's so much stuff that's left goes unspoken, and there's so much money going out they don't tell you about. Like, it still worked out cheaper. It still worked out about 25 grand, which is, you still can't buy anything in this country for that.
Yep.
But, you know, originally the purchase price of the vehicle was only about 16.
Yep.
So there's been another $9,000. Okay, admittedly, it's not all their fault because freight went stupid this year. Like our containers that we bring in with our batteries in them have gone from about $1,000 a container, or not even. I think it was about $800 a container delivered to our door, to $3,000 a container plus delivery.
Holy cow!
So and that's nearly $1,000. So it's like $4,000 for a container now to come from China to get delivered to the door, where it used to be $1,000.
Wow.
So, you know, thankfully when you got 1,000 batteries in a container, it's $4 a battery. That's not a huge expense.
Yep.
But I can imagine if you had, you know, 5 of something in there,
yep,
you know, that's a huge cost increase on those 5 items.
Yeah, jeez.
You know, so that's not necessarily their fault, but yeah, there's just so much stuff. You got to constantly email them, constantly ring them, constantly keep on them, because they won't tell you anything otherwise. They won't actually go out of their way to tell you what's going on.
Yes.
And then they go, oh, you owe us $600 for that. Oh, this is $400, and there's another $150 there, and this guy's going to want $2,000, and they're going to want $300 for that, and this will be $200. And you're like, when I signed up for this, that wasn't part of the deal.
Yeah, he's not signing it as if he's a Nigerian prince or anything, is he?
He is now. It might not
He's
have been
rich. If I were rich,
it might not have been at the start of the process, but he is now.
he'll be able to get one of those big rockets and head off into space soon. Then
People have
Seems
already
to
done
be
that.
the thing to do at the moment.
It is the thing to do at the moment. So,
But who really got to real space? That's what the big question is now.
we'll define space. See, they've
Yeah.
shifted the guidelines a bit too.
Yeah.
So
Did Richard Branson get to space? I don't know. A lot of people saying he
Did
didn't.
Jeff
He just
Bezos?
went up to. Yeah.
I got a story
The
about
problem
that.
is they
actually,
keep
after.
coming back down again.
I'll just quickly show you the van that we're getting. Just a quick photo. It's not going to be super
Can't we
flattering.
just leave Bezos up there?
The first one I pick off. No, you can't see because it's the wrong. Because it puts it over that side of the stupid. Of course it does. I don't know, but yeah. So you can kind of see it anyway. It's, you know, it's one of these looking vans. The biggest problem with it, a lot of people complain it looks ugly because it's based on Nissan Leaf.
Yep.
The charging port door and everything's, the nose is really long on it because it's basically a Nissan Leaf. All the motor and the chargers and everything's under the nose.
All right.
So that's why the nose is so long. But it's a full-size van in terms of what it holds. It's no different than anything else. But yeah, it's a really long, got a bit of a nose on it.
If it does what you want, you're not going to worry about winning beauty contests or nothing.
No, and it basically costs nothing to run now.
Yep.
You know, got a set of tyres every 50,000 Ks, a set of brake pads every 100,000 Ks.
That's it.
And then every 10,000 Ks, it's a cabin filter, wiper blades, you know, normal bulbs and stuff like that.
And if you ever get stuck, you can just rub your hands together and touch it on the port. Charge it up.
So, well, actually, RACQ now actually there's enough EVs around now that they actually have EV response vehicles.
Oh, right.
They basically have a giant battery pack in the back of a van, and they rock up and they'll give you enough for your next, say you're 10 Ks away from the next destination charge. Well, they'll just give you 15 Ks worth of juice and you can go and charge.
It's a pity you can't take out your 4 AA's and they give you theirs. Just do swap over like that.
Well, to give you an idea, the battery pack obviously it's out of the Nissan Leaf as well, and in this van it sits under the floor of the van.
Yep.
And it's about 4 foot wide and about 5 foot long. That's the steel case that all the batteries are in, and it's got 240 cells.
Yep.
Each like 240 modules of batteries in there. So it's the new one that they've just released this year has a 40 kilowatt battery, so it's basically double or released last year I think it was. It's double the range. problem is when you're importing vehicles from Japan, they have to be more than 3 years old as part of our import guidelines. So, in other words, to get one that's got a 40 kilowatt pack in it, you're going to need to wait until basically 2025, 2024, end of 2024 before you'll be able to get.
Who does that
one of the
protect
newer
our
ones.
non-existent
Well, this
electric car market?
exactly. That's why I don't understand. I'm like, okay.
Or any car market, because we don't actually have any car market whatsoever anymore to protect.
And it's not like the vehicles, they don't even release them here. So they do release like one of the Nissan vans, which like 90% of it is compatible with the normal Nissan van that they release here.
Yep.
Obviously the front's a bit different because but most of the stuff on the front that isn't compatible with the van fits the Leaf. So, but I don't understand. I know originally it was there to protect, go back 20, 30 years. Okay, I get it. It was there to protect our car industry. Because you could buy, for example, Nissan was selling locally the GTR Skyline, which was a sought after vehicle, and they were selling that, and it was quite a common vehicle here. It was half the price in Japan to buy exactly the same car, because obviously it's a Japanese product. But by making people wait 3 years, they wanted the newest one, they're going to buy it, and in 3 years' time the value's going to be down. It's not such a big deal because it's not a new car in the car lot anymore. So I understand why that was there, but the thing is, it's never been renegotiated.
Yeah, just leave it.
And then there's dumb paperwork, like some of the things I got, like this form is to verify that I'm not importing more than 12 kilos of R12 refrigerant on an annual basis, and and I said to him, so what's that? What's the van take? He goes, the van holds about 4.5 kilos. I said, okay, so I can import 2 vans with aircon, then what? The next one I have to import, I have to get it degassed? He goes, yep. So if you bought 3 of them in, so the third one would have to degas it over there and regas it when it lands, because you're not allowed to import any more than 12 kilos of R12.
Who makes up this crap?
Some of the rules are absolutely horrendous. The way they word stuff. As I said, I'll make a video, I'll go through it all, but even you have to use the Japanese Emperor's date code when you're doing filing some of the paperwork, and you've got the dates and stuff on it. I don't have the photos here, but the date code is the date at which the Emperor started his rule.
All right.
Minus 21 or something. So, like, for it to be a 2016 vehicle, its date code is like 1142 or something is the year, and you're like, what? So, all this useless information. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that anyway. That's gonna be cool. So get a lot.
So you just gonna like catch a train into the city and then drive it home, or?
No, I got to get lifted because it's where it is. It's anybody who knows Brisbane. It's basically up on the north side. It's up in Virginia, so there's no way to get there effectively without. If I was going to catch a train, I'd need to catch 5 trains. So to drive, it's about 50 minutes.
Yep.
If I was going to catch trains, I'd need to catch 5 trains, 2 buses, and then a taxi. And it's about 4.5 hours.
Wow.
And about $60 or $70.
What the hell?
So
Good one, Brisbane.
Brisbane transport is horrendous at the best of times, but then when you're trying to go from one side of Brisbane to the other side, or worse yet, from Ipswich there's no direct train from Ipswich to Brisbane, or from where I am, which is west of Ipswich. I've got to go from here. I've got to go from here and change at Ipswich, and then I've got to go from. Once I get on another train at Ipswich, I've got to go from Ipswich to Maruka, and then change trains again at Maruka, or at Springfield, depending on which line I use. And then I've got to go from there into Brisbane, then change trains again at Brisbane to go to the north side. So I've got to change 4 trains just to get within 20 k's of where I need to be. And then I've got to catch 2 or 3 buses because there's no direct bus route from the train station to where I need to go. Like in Melbourne, you could go, I need to go here, and they go, how do you want to get there? Do you want a bus? Do you want a tram? Do you want a train? Do you want...
As long as you're not getting to the airport, you're all right.
In Melbourne.
Yeah.
There's a courtesy bus.
There's no trains allowed to go up there.
No, you catch a bus. That's fine.
Yeah, I know, get the bus.
Bus or taxi.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be so dumb because we're going to have to leave here at, I'm going to leave here at 9 o'clock or something right on. Well, the person who's taking me up, they've got to do the school run, drop the kids off at school and stuff, so I can't leave till after that.
Yep.
So we're going to leave here basically right on peak hour. So what should be a 50-minute drive is going to be 2 hours. And then we have to pick it up. Then we have to drive another 2 hours back.
Yeah.
At least
How long does it take to charge up that one then?
Depending on what charger you use. If I was to charge it at home on my home socket, like a normal 10 amp household power point,
Yep.
about 8 hours.
Yep.
So even if you charge it up overnight, it's fine. If I've got a 15 amp socket like I've got in the shed, it takes about 4 hours. If I go to a public fast charge and they've got the Type 1 connector or a Type 2 connector, I've got an adapter to go either way.
Yep.
It, depending on the charger, does about it can take about 45 minutes. If they've got the DC fast charge, it can go from 20% to 80% in about 15 minutes.
Nice.
So if you, the best way to do it, the most efficient way to do it is pick stations that have DC fast charge and just charge, so 20% to 80% gives you about 60% usable, which gives you about 80 odd Ks.
Yep.
So if you stop about every 80 Ks, you're only stopping for 15 minutes. Which by the time you stop, go to the toilet, grab a drink, jump back in, you're ready to go.
Yep.
But the thing is, if you run it down to 10% and you want to charge it to 100%, it takes you, what would take you 15 minutes is now taking you 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So, which you'd be at your next destination by that point.
Yeah.
So you're often better off doing short bursts
Yeah.
than to do long, deep charges.
Yeah.
Actual fact, the Cannonball record they set in the States for electric vehicle that's exactly how they did it. They actually stopped every...
They have enough recharging stations over there. That's the thing over here.
It's actually funny. There's an app called, there's a couple. ChargeFox is one of the main ones. There's 2 or 3 different ones, but they show you all the charge points.
Yep.
In Ipswich, there's not a lot. There's only 2 or 3 charge points in Ipswich. But actually heading up from, once you get out of Ipswich and you head up, between here and Virginia, which is only 58 Ks, there's something like 300 charge points.
Oh, wow.
So we're really starting to actually, less rural, obviously. If you head west, there's less and less and less of them.
Yeah.
But in terms of being able to travel up and down the coast, there's no problems at all. There's a charge point at least every 5 Ks.
Are they Tesla ones?
Just general fast charge. There's less superchargers, which is the Tesla ones.
Yep.
There's not as many of those, but then again, the Tesla goes further.
Yep.
So they don't have to be as many because you can travel further on a charge.
Now the question: are you going to get a fast charge at the office? At work?
We're looking at it. We're looking to see what's involved because it's something I've been wanting to do anyway.
Yep.
And I figure it makes sense because we have a massive car park and there's never any cars in it. So
was it you who showed me a video of someone? And this lady, he had a fast charger on the side of his house, and this lady just came along and plugged the car into it.
Yeah.
She's like, fast charge port, it's on this map on the phone.
Yeah.
He's like, this is my house one, I paid for it, it's my own one. No, it says here, it's a public available one, so I'm charging my car up.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't listed properly. That does happen, unfortunately.
You might want to put a lock on yours or something.
Well, it doesn't matter, because if it's a public point, they still pay for it. So it doesn't cost you anything.
Oh, so you make yours into a public point, and then anyone can fill up there.
Yeah,
as well.
I'll have mine marked as at least initially. Mine will be marked as a what they call domestic charge point, which will be a 15 amp socket. So somebody who's carrying their own charger on board the vehicle can come and plug in charge if they need a quick top up to get somewhere. And then once we get an actual charge point put in, they'll be marked as a public one. You basically walk up to it, swipe your phone, and then it opens it up and pays for it at whatever the tariff is. Sometimes, like mine, on a private one, you'll charge a little bit more because you've got to recoup the cost of the installation.
Yep.
If you use a public charge point, they're usually, they're all about 20 cents a kilowatt. A private one, you might charge 30, but even that, people would pay 30 cents, to charge. It doesn't add that much to the overall cost to fill up. It's still cheaper than anything else.
Sounds good.
So,
they have many places that set up and make their own ones public?
More and more, especially places where what they call destination charges. So there's a destination there. There's a reason to go there. So whether it's a coffee shop, whether it's a cafe, whether it's a service station, a zoo, or a parkland, something like that. A lot of them are starting.
Center.
Yeah, they're aware that people need to kill, depending on the vehicle, between half an hour and an hour to do a full charge.
Yep.
So they'll often have a destination charger that will allow you to kill an hour while you're waiting for it to charge.
Yep.
So, and the other thing is too on some of the apps. Say you're at a shopping centre and somebody's got their car there, and you can see their car's fully charged because it changes colour on the charger that let you know when it's charged.
Yep.
You can bring up the number plate on the app and say where you are and say, hey, your car's fully charged, do you mind moving it so I can charge? And it just shoots them it doesn't give them any details of you or anything, but it sends you a message going, oh, my car's fully charged, and it gives you the option to go back and move it so that you can, So
nice. Those chargers, you should put on your charger some USB ports so the kids can charge up their iPads while they're waiting as well.
Well, my van actually has an inverter built in.
All right.
Yeah, so it's got a 240 volt inverter built into it, so I can do what they call a car to house.
Yep.
So once I get home, if I chose to, I could say when the peak prices I can use the Amber app and say I get peak prices between 5 and 7.
Yep.
Well, I can run the house off my car for those 2 hours, and then when the power goes back down at 11 o'clock of the night, I can charge my car back up again.
Man.
So yeah, you can do. It's like your Tesla Powerwall, but it's coming from my vehicle. And you can.
So I got an email from Amber today saying I've got too much solar batteries. They said they're only going to. Was it something about only going to allow you to get the feed in until you've used up 10 kilowatt hours to charge a battery? If you've got more than that, they're not going to let you do it anymore. And they said, we found one guy who had a shed out the back that had 100 kilowatt hours of batteries out there.
Yeah.
And
well, it's not the batteries, it's the feed. See, when you're charging your batteries, you're not feeding it back into the grid, so they're not paying for it. But once your batteries are full, they put a cap on how much you can feed. And that's exactly why they do it, because I'm the same. Because I've got 12 kilowatt solar system, after the first 10 kilowatt hours, they won't pay for the feedback in. Which is fine though, because generally you don't normally feed that back in anyway. Once you've charged your batteries or using appliances and stuff, it takes the top off it anyway. So
there are a few other changes. Controlled load prices going up.
That's the government doing that one.
Daily supply is going up, but the peak time is going down like $1.
The neat part is
Everything else is
going
going up.
The neat part is though the general monthly that they base their pricing on is going down, so it means you more often get a rebate than not.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so.
Right, they're gonna. I think it's about 2 weeks from today. They're gonna try and install a smart meter.
Finally.
But they just started sending me alerts again about prices going up and down, which they didn't for the last couple of months. And said that was because I don't have a smart meter, but I still don't have one. They started sending the alerts again, so...
You can change that in the app too. You can set at what tariff price you want the alert to be sent.
Yeah, it's been set like that for the last few months, and they started sending me alerts, and then stopped for a couple of months, and now they started again, and I haven't changed anything in any of the apps or anything.
No, I think one of their updates broke it, because mine was the same. I didn't receive for about a month. I didn't receive any updates either. But I went into the app and changed my tariff price to once it hits this amount, send me an update, and it fixed the problem. So
I wasn't getting emails at all either, but now I get emails plus goes ping, plus I get a text message. So I'm never going to miss out when it's happening.
Oh, wow. So I think we're going to have a very streamlined news segment tonight. Here, let me just do this.
The
And
Commonwealth.
Sorry, you're right. Off you go. Go on, do your thing.
The Commonwealth Bank of Australia on Thursday announced it's acquired 25% stake in the company behind Tangerine and More Telecom, a pair of NBN retailers based in Melbourne. The bank said it will offer its 11 million retail banking customers discounted NBN and broadband services. In May, the bank acquired similar levels of equity in a pair of startups to offer deals related to online shopping and finding an energy provider. The average monthly cost of internet in Australia is one of the most expensive in the world, and we are uniquely positioned to help customers manage these costs, CBA Group Executive for Retail Banking Services Angus Sullivan said. We do this by utilising our technology to provide personalised offers via the CommBank app to these customers we know will benefit from switching broadband providers. Sullivan added customers could potentially view bills from More Telecom and Tangerine and broadband usage in the CommBank app in the future. Commonwealth Bank app has been recently boosting the functionality of its app thanks to the consumer data right. A feature allowing users to view balances from other banks is currently being trialled. For its part, the telco said they are looking to sign a wholesale agreement for 5G mobile services. Telstra is currently the mobile network provider for the telcos. Consumers don't often consider changing their NBN provider, but through this partnership with Commonwealth Bank, we can also schedule special offers and broadband activations in line with a customer purchasing a new home or updating their home or business address, More Telecom co-founder Andrew Branson said. Do you want to get your broadband from your bank?
I don't get anything from a bank,
No.
especially something I need to actually rely on.
I think it's a recipe for disaster, but maybe they'll make it cheap for some people. I don't know.
Oh, they'll do some Thursday pension special.
Yep.
$5 on Thursdays or something.
$5.
Speaking of NBN, NBN has 119,000 services that can't hit its mandated 25 megabit minimum. So, what was it, 2 years ago now?
25 is all that anyone should ever need. Didn't the old PM say that?
Didn't they basically say that...
it's super fast!
That. No, but didn't they say... When was this? Trying to see when it happened. But basically, originally they were starting to say that Australian premises need to be offered to connect to the minimum 25.5. NBN responsible for the areas declared ready for service and eventually become the default provider. After NBN is declared built and fully operational, the Commonwealth, the communications wiring of the Department of Infrastructure said, I was trying to see when this
make
article,
it 12.
Trying to see when this article was. Said to commence on 1st of January 2021. So we've been 6 months into it. And 119,000. Now, keeping in mind that according to the NBN rollout is finished and they've installed all they need to do and there's no more work to be done. But 120,000 places can't rate the service that they recommended. The minimum service needs to be met to count as a conditional rollout completion. So
it would all be done by now, and also no child will be living in poverty by now either.
I don't think they ever promised that.
I'm sure I heard somebody say it.
Somebody said it once. I don't know. I don't think it was them though.
That was Bob Hawke.
Yeah, that's it. What? So the NBN will be finished by now?
He said no child will be without the NBN by 2090.
That's what it was, exactly. Yeah. Then they built a wall.
Yeah. It keeps the rabbits out.
So NBN said, they just admitted that 120,000 can't hit the minimum that they said that they have to meet their own standards to meet. But of those, 80% can meet the minimum 20 meg, which is only 5 meg less than they originally said. That leaves.
I bet they get dropouts too.
That leaves 40,000 places that can't get 20 meg. Of those, half of those can get 10 meg, and the other 20,000 can get 5 meg.
You should have stayed with ADSL.
Now, given that most of those places that can only get 5 meg had ADSL 2, which gave them 25 meg.
Now they get 5. And probably get charged more for that 5 as well.
So, yeah. To put the whole picture in perspective, the proportion of premises not receiving the minimum peak 25 meg represents approximately 1.4% of active services across the NBN. That's not the point. One of the reasons they cited, that they can't reach the minimum speeds, was that the fibre to the node premises is 18 months behind in its rollout period. But didn't they just say
It's complete.
that it's completed?
Except that bit. and the ones that can't get the speeds they wanted.
And fibre to the node speeds are dialed down to continue to allow legacy services such as ADSL to operate. Because ADSL coexists with the NBN quite happily?
No, they switched off ADSL everywhere. They put the NBN and said, you can't use that.
Oh dear.
See all those stories where people are like, well, I had ADSL and I was getting 25, and the NBN came in at 5. And I said, can I have my ADSL back? And they said, no. You need to be happy with the 1/5 of speed that you were getting.
And now you're paying more for the privilege.
And paying more for it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
On the upside, allowing such services ADSL to coexist with the NBN with a minimum 12 meg has been guaranteed until the coexistence period ends July 30th, 2021.
Next week.
And then it's only going to be 39.3% of nodes are going to be affected. So 40% of the NBN is still running on ADSL lines.
Jeez. Quality mixed technology.
And what's this fibre to the node they keep talking about? Because if it's fibre to the node, it's not ADSL. On the upside, though, apparently it's possible they can increase some of the speeds using fibre to the node via satellite. Do these people know what fibre to the node is?
Yes, they get a fibre cable and they attach it to a satellite and then back down to your house. It's that simple.
Oh, but it's only going to cost them $13.3 million per financial year over financial year 19, 20 and 21.
They could just get all that back from all the overpaying bonuses that they sent to a lot of people. We didn't do anything.
So apparently, basically, the NBN is still useless, and it's costing people a lot of money. So there you go. They're going to trial the NBN Co. For the trial, the NBN Co. has licenses that allow it to use the spectrum in the 850 meg band. You know, the one that they took off everybody else because they weren't allowed to use it anymore. And they're going to be using that for the trialling of the NBN for the faster speeds. But at 850 meg was only 2G, maybe 3 at a push, which would only be like 5 meg anyway.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know.
Google today started rolling out Backup by Google One as an update over existing Android backup service that now means end users only have to be aware of one sync to the cloud. Android backups currently cover app data, SMS messages, call history, contacts, and device preferences, including Wi-Fi networks and passwords, wallpapers, display settings, brightness and sleep, language and input settings, and date time. Backup by that's it. Backup by Google One is billed as being more granular and expansive as well as unified. Namely, it can also back up photos, videos, and MMS messages with management and control now directly in Android settings in addition to existing Google One app or website.
Oh, Picasso.
Yeah. It's back. With this change, MMS is now part of the Android backup experience by default. Last year, the company started allowing anyone to back up MMS, but that required installing and using the Google One app. This unified approach is meant to remove any distinction in backups. Today, people are primarily aware of Google One, which most equate with Google Photos media backup, and might not be familiar with what's automatically done in the background. This usually does come into play until they get a new device and are setting it up. Users will now have less to manage and be actively aware of what's being stored. Despite the Google One branding, this backup system will be available to all Google accounts. It comes as Google last July made Storage Manager tool inside Google One app available to all, regardless of subscription status. Users still limited to 15 gig of free storage, with anything more requiring a paid upgrade. Moving forward, Google plans to continue improving the unified backup experience for Android. Backup by Google One is beginning to roll out to devices running Android 8.0 today and will be fully available over the coming weeks. The company will provide more details as it widely launches.
I have to admit, the one thing that doesn't do well is SMS backup. I have a lot of problems with trying to recover SMSs from the backup.
Yep. I think most of mine stuff was going through the Samsung storage servers, which is now moving over to OneDrive. So I'll have stuff backed up with Google One and some stuff backed up with OneDrive.
Yeah, that seems convenient.
Yeah. Back up all the things everywhere.
So that's why I've always just used the Google one. But yeah, I've had issues with SMS. Everything else I seem to be fine, but for whatever reason, SMSs don't do well. I don't know why. I don't know if anybody else have that problem. It's just me, but yeah. Mostly too, I have gone. It was like, wasn't too bad. Yeah, if it went from a different device, like if you went from say a phone to a tablet, it really screwed them up. And then if you went to like a different brand of phone, it went messy. So I don't know if it's something. It was just a formatting issue, or I don't know how it's backing them up. You'd think it'd just be like a text file, but CSV or something.
Or a little database.
Yeah, it's not like
SQLite or something.
Yeah, it's not like they're big. So quickly, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos back on Earth following successful Blue Origin's base launch. So we've had.
It was successful. That's a shame.
We've had Bezos. We've had
Branson,
and we've had. Although actually, Elon hasn't actually gone to space, but
not yet.
Not yet, but he's had people.
He just had to have. Look, we had Branson, we had Bezos, and we had Musk. He should have had a B for his name, Busk.
Bellon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Sounds like something.
Elon Musk.
So basically, yeah, they've been testing their rockets since 2015. They finally got confident enough to throw some people in there, and it didn't explode. So,
and
that's
who really
the
went
version.
to space?
So, well, he was weightless, so he was far enough up that he was in.
He was far enough up there to be able to record an OK Go music video. I showed that to my friend the other day. Have you seen the one where they do it weightless in one of those vomit rockets?
Yeah, they only had, I think it was 15 seconds at a time or something.
Yeah, but they made a whole video for it. It's awesome.
But they did it in one take.
Yeah.
Because when they weren't weightless, they were shuffling other stuff around, and the plane was climbing, and then they'd go back down again.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
All their stuff is amazing. They were showing the one where they drive around in the car and they got like 200 pianos on the side and 400 guitars.
Do you ever see the setup for that?
Yeah, they have behind the scenes and things.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about it too. They do have all the behind the scenes stuff.
And then they did a Rube Goldberg machine.
Yep, that one took them a long time because they had to keep resetting it. They'd done the one moment was all paintball cannons.
Yeah.
Yeah, upside down, inside out was the weightless one. Their original one was Here It Goes Again, which was the one on the treadmills.
Oh, right.
Needing Getting was the one with the cars through the playing the instruments.
Yep.
I Won't Let You Down was in conjunction with I want to say Nokia, but it was they were all on like these little mini Segway sort of deals.
All right.
All doing like choreographed stuff for that one. And Love is all done in time lapse. You never see them walk, but they slowly travel along the path from the lake and they go upstairs and stuff. It's very reminiscent of the Beatles, actually. White Knuckles is a giant. You right?
The city view is gone. There it is.
Means we've been going more than an hour. White Knuckles is like a giant cups and like the stacking cups.
Yep.
It's like a giant version of those. So they're fantastic with this Two Shell Passes, their Rube Goldberg one.
Yeah, that's an awesome one.
They also did a second one to this Two Shell Pass, which is a marching band.
Oh yeah.
Sort of one. So, yeah, no, I love their stuff. They're one of the examples of a band who They were
Innovative.
I want to say they were with Sony Music, I think it was. And they still had like one album left to go. And they said, look, we want to do this and we want to do this and here's our idea for this. We want to make this happen. We want to do this. And Sony's like, we can't. We can't market any of that. That's not something we can do. And they're like, well, that's what our album's going to be. So either you have to make it happen or you're going to have to let us go because that's our album.
Yeah.
And anyway, they ended up doing negotiations and they got out of their contract with Sony. And then they
Were they one of the ones that said just pay whatever you want for the album? And
yeah, pretty much. So, and then here it goes again, which is the first one they did, which they're known for, which is the one on the treadmill, which has got like 100 million views. They shot it themselves with a handycam and a couple of mates and threw it on YouTube, and that was their first venture into self-publishing videos.
Yeah.
And they haven't looked back since then. You know, they've got hundreds of millions of views all up on their videos. You know, and just a classic example of what you can do. Obsession is really cool, actually, if you get a chance. Obsession is a wall of color laser printers.
Yep.
And as they're singing the song, all these different color pages are printing out, making artwork, falling, cascading from the printers behind them.
all right.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
They should do one with those guys who have like 50 floppy drives and makes the music with the drives and laser scanners and stuff like that.
Yeah, the Floppytron. They probably wouldn't surprise me. They probably would.
Yeah,
there's
those guys would be into it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen, there's the Floppytron. There's a few different ones. There's one guy who uses the stepper motors out of scanners and hard drives, and there's a guy who does FPOS machines and all sorts of stuff. It's pretty cool to watch him do all that sort of stuff, actually. There's another guy, what's his name? Wintergarten. I think it is. He's German or Dutch or something. And he does a marble machine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome too. Does all the different instruments on the marble machine. But anyway, none of that has anything to do with Jeff Bezos making it back to Earth. But anyway.
We never go off on tangents.
No, I know what you're talking about. Is it yours or mine?
Yours.
Amazon and eBay, next in line for ACCC's digital platform assault.
Oh.
So as you know, a while back, it's not just them, it's Kogan and Amazon and eBay and a couple
anyone
other
wose
online,
name isn't Jerry.
basically. Well, it's online only retailers they're looking at the moment. So it'd be Catch, Catch the Day, all those sort of ones. Basically, I mean, you got to remember, was it last year? Kogan got fined like $350,000 for discounting marked up products.
You mean selling at the original cost, original price?
So it's okay for Jerry to do that, but online you can't do that. But basically that's what they're doing. They're going through looking at all these platforms, making sure that they're not doing things like that, making sure that they are behaving and trading within the guidelines, which I get. They don't, there's a few things that we've got to be wary of, making sure that they're doing like they're handling their data correctly, customer data, all that sort of stuff. I think they'll be okay. They've sort of learnt their lesson from Kogan last time. They sort of haven't really. They don't seem to be doing that thing because with Kogan it was incredibly obvious, especially if you're a club member, because you'd look at a product and then next week they'd have it on sale for the same price and the retail price was dearer than it was when it was on sale.
Yeah.
And if you logged in as a club member, you'd get the discounted price on top of the actual original sale price, so it was cheaper. But it doesn't seem to be happening anywhere near as much as it was. So hopefully they'll be fine. I don't have a problem with it, but I want their next one after they finish doing the online ones. I want them to go through Woolworths and Coles and Harvey Norman and all those places and do them next. Because the amount of times I've seen something on sale that's dearer than the regular price.
You ever see the people on Twitter or something? They'll take a photo lifting up the tag, and it's like discounted to $25, and you lift it up, and it was $19, but now it's discounted to $25 or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, I used to work at Woolworths. It's very common. Their argument is that the new stock that they've just purchased is they got it at a cheaper price than the last lot of stock that they had, which I understand, but you can't. Or they'd say like, and the same thing has happened when I was working in bottle shops as well. They're getting a product on sale, but they might have already had stock in the system that was a run-out line that was cheaper than the product that they've purchased on sale. So the sale price is dearer than what the normal price is, only because they paid more for the product.
Yep.
But I'm like, well, you can't.
I'd say it's a sale.
You can't say it's a sale. The best you can do is just say, special price. You can do like a special price. You're not saying it's a sale price. And then you can do that. But you can't say this product's on sale when last week you're selling for $10 and this week you're selling it for $15 with a $20
on
price
sale.
tag. So I don't know. It's kind of like working in the industry, knowing what products cost, and then walking into another store and seeing what they're selling it for, and you look at them and go, how are you selling any at that price to start with, and how can you justify selling it at that price? And I've come to the conclusion after working in retail for 30 odd years that the ultimate price you pay for a product has nothing to do with quality, has nothing to do with the product, has nothing to do with what you paid for it. The price that you have, most places have on a product, is what people will pay for the product. That's it. I mean, if
They said the same for Adobe. Why is the Adobe suite more expensive in Australia? Because people in Australia
people
will pay for that. If they didn't buy it, we wouldn't sell it, so therefore the price would change.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't. We were buying some parts off one of our suppliers. We're buying some battery boxes actually. They were $45 a box, which was cool because I could sell them for, I could sell them. Well, actually, I could afford to give them away as like bonuses and stuff, and not have an issue with it. And the next lot I ordered went up to $55. Yep. I'm like, what's the deal? Like, you guys haven't had a shipment in. They're the same batteries. I'm like, oh yeah, but they're selling really well, so we just decided to put the price up. Hang on a minute. Just because you've been selling them really well doesn't mean that I can sell them now.
Yeah.
At $55, I can't afford to give them away. At $44, I could.
Yeah.
And so, okay, fine, you're making more money, but I've just lost money on the deal. So it's just... anyway.
Amnesty International accuses governments around the world of using NSO Group's Pegasus iPhone hacking tool to illegally spy on journalists and human rights defenders.
Silly.
Apple's head of security engineering and architecture condemns this type of hacking. Condemns it, I say. But also says that such attacks are not a threat to the overwhelming majority of our users. Pegasus can be used to harvest data from iOS devices, and Apple has been unable to find a way to block it. It's what's called a zero-click attack. Reportedly, all that's needed necessarily to be hacked is to receive a text. But Ivan Kostic, who leads Apple's software security efforts, points out the average iPhone users are in no danger from Pegasus. Attacks like the ones described are highly sophisticated, cost millions of dollars to develop, often have a short shelf life, and are used to target specific individuals.
Yeah.
While that means they are not a threat to the overwhelming majority of our users, we continue to work tirelessly to defend our customers. We're constantly adding new protectors for their devices and data. The best thing average iPhone users can do to prevent their iPhone from being hacked is to install every iOS update as soon as possible, and this will get easier with iOS 15, as it will give users the option to install security updates without also installing new features.
They'll only allow Apple to hack you. Nobody else will be able to hack you.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, look, this sort of thing's been going on for years. Like, you remember that case a couple of years ago where the FBI begged Apple to hack this guy's phone because they already had all the information off it, but there was no legal way of them to have that. So they begged Apple to say, we need you to hack this phone so that we can have the information. And they're like, no. They basically had to throw all the information out because they couldn't use it in court. It's not new. It's been going on for years. If it's not, I mean, pre-mobile phones, it was landline tapping. Yeah, it's something that happens, but it's not something the average person has to worry about. Because yes, it's expensive. Yes, it takes a lot of manpower, and it's really
and who's going to be targeting Joe User anyway?
Yeah, for the most part, it's only, whether it's a news reporter who's got in too deep somewhere, or it's a political thing. You never, the average person doesn't need to worry about it. But it's certainly something you can do, and it's not only an Apple. I'm sure every phone out there can be hacked in exactly the same way. I mean, they can track without any effort at all. They can track the GPS signaling, and they can track everything on your phone anyway. Even if your phone's turned off, a lot of the phones that are turned off don't turn off completely, depending on the phone. So it's not really surprising. It is surprising though that they've admitted to it, which I find is the interesting part about it.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised in the fact they do it. I'm surprised in the fact they're admitting to doing it.
Exactly.
But then again, everybody thinks it's good these days. I mean, what was it? South Australian Police or whoever, Western Australian Police used the COVID app to track somebody, and then a couple of weeks later, Queensland Police did exactly the same thing.
Yep.
So
they're not allowed to.
They're not allowed to, and it's a breach of multiple laws. But that doesn't matter because they're the police. They can do whatever they want.
Make the laws.
Just quickly, ASX issues caution for Aussies investing. Speaking of people who break laws all the time, ASX issues caution for Aussies investing in crypto and contemplates exchange regulation. The Australian Securities Exchange has issued a warning to investors keen to buy in the crypto scene, particularly around the security of the private keys used to access digital funds. In a submission to the committee, considering Australia as a technology and financial centre, the ASX says it would be worth considering whether investors understood the risks and benefits of owning digital assets through the custodian or exchange of operating as custodian. Digital assets are associated with the user through the addresses, which the owner being the one with the address. The user's address is a mathematical deviation of their private key, which in turn is derived from a random seed. Users must keep their random seed secret to prevent other users from deriving their private key and accessing the address associated with the digital assets. The effect access to the private key and address will confer custody to the underlying assets in the address. In that sense, access to the private key can be linked to the legal title. ASX added it was concerned that many users are leaving digital assets on crypto exchange with private key held by the exchange, leaving the user vulnerable to security breaches in the exchange or the risk of their assets may be dealt with undisclosed or unauthorized manner. So we have briefly talked about this before, the difference between a private key and a privately held key and a publicly held private key.
And cold and hot wallets.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, okay, technically, Binance has all my... Binance has all my... my Dogecoin. They've got all my crypto in their control, but they still can't access it because I've got the key. So they might have the asset, but the thing is I can use that key and still access the asset through anybody, not just through them. So they don't really have access to it in that regard, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like a bank. Like you can have a what do they call it? Box. Security box at the bank.
Yep.
They physically hold the box and they lock it behind lock and key, but you're the one who's got the key to access that deposit box. So even though they physically have possession of it, they can't access it without you.
Yep.
It's basically exactly the same thing. And being concerned about that is exactly the same as being concerned about a bank holding on to your assets.
Yep.
Should you trust them? Should you not? Well, probably not. But ultimately, you don't.
Got to be somewhere.
I'd hate to try and manage a private key in a trading sense.
Yeah.
Be okay if you knew you've got 100 Bitcoin on a private key, fine. Okay, throw it in a drawer, whatever, not a problem. But if you want to actually trade, that's where you need to have that on an exchange, because that Bitcoin sitting on that thumb drive is worthless.
Yeah.
Until it gets exchanged. It's literally just data sitting on a drive.
Yeah.
So keeping the private data yourself it's like having a blank checkbook. It might have access to a heap of funds, but as it is, it's not worth anything. So
It's only good if you're the ultimate hodler, never going to do anything with it.
yeah, and I mean, basically what I guess what they're trying to say is they want everybody to hold onto their keys so that you can be held accountable for your own data. Therefore, you get to pay them tax and they get to know how much money you've earned. Effectively, that's what they're saying. Because while ever I'm not holding onto that physical key, I'm not in possession of that currency. Therefore, it's not mine. I might have access to the key, and I might be the only person who has access to that money. But if I'm not actually touching it, I don't own the money. It's not until I transfer it into my account that it becomes mine. Up until then, it's just a bunch of numbers thrown together.
Yeah.
So,
if you were lucky enough to own both a desktop computer and dot matrix printer back in the 80s, it's likely you also dabbled in desktop publishing using a classic app called the Print Shop. Once lost to time, many classic apps that ran on ancient hardware, the Print Shop has been resurrected in the browser, so you no longer need to pay for Adobe InDesign. Originally developed by David Balsam and Martin Kahn and published in 1984 by Broderbund Software, the Print Shop first debuted on the Apple II, but was such a huge hit, it was eventually ported to other personal computers of the era, including Commodore 64 and anything that could run MS-DOS. Although impossibly simple by today's desktop publishing standards, its ease of use is what made the Print Shop so popular, as users could combine clip art, custom text, and other pixelated adornments in minutes to create custom signage, cards, and even banners, thanks to the printer paper of the era being one just long sheet of perforated paper.
mm-hmm.
The app was also a great selling tool for personal computers, which at the time didn't have a lot of practical applications aside from games, word processing, or spreadsheets. Although the emulated version of the Print Shop doesn't directly send designs to any modern printer, it does generate a downloadable PDF file that you can easily print after the fact. And you can try it out at theprintshop.club.
Which is currently down.
Oh, you broke it.
I just went there to look. But I can show you some screenshots.
Works for me.
Oh, does it? I'll check it again in a sec. So yeah, so you can do the old greeting cards and signs, and I used to use this program all the time.
Yeah, it was great.
There is a modern equivalent called Rasterbeta.
They say what?
Rasterbeta. It turns an image into a raster image or a document into a raster document, so you can do exactly the same thing. You can stretch it over as many banners as you want.
Oh, Wallet generator.
But yeah, so all the cool stuff you used to be able to do with it. The funny thing is, what I used to find that funny, you could design them in colour, but it was irrelevant because you only had a black dot matrix printer anyway. Unless you're really lucky, like I used to on my Commodore 64, I had a 4-colour plotter.
Oh, right.
So I had something resembling a colour printer, even though it was really, really painful to use because it was a plotter and it had to all be done one pixel at a time. But yeah, the more colours you'd throw in. It wasn't smart enough to go, oh, I'll do all the blacks and I'll feed the paper back through, or do all the blues and feed the paper back and do all the green. No.
Yeah.
It went black, blue, green, red. So it literally had to change the head around every time it did a dot. So if you did you could print an A3. Remember the butcher's paper rolls? It took those. That's what it used. You say it was, 900 or 1100 wide and as infinitely as long as you wanted it to be.
Yep.
So if you did a banner that was full colour, it could take days to print this banner out because it would literally go 1 pixel, change colours, next pixel, change colours, next pixel, change colours.
There goes all your ink.
Yeah, and it only the mini Sharpies?
Yep.
That are only about, that's literally what it used as its ink pots. So every, it would do X amount of dots, and then it would go, hey, your ink's running low. Just guess, because it knows roughly how much it could do on a Sharpie. And it would do an X amount of, like a section this deep on the paper, and it goes, you need to replace your inks. That was great. So, and just so people know, Zoom is getting some updates. It's they are off. Just so people know, Zoom has now started its own web store, or sort of web store sort of thing. It's got 1,500 App Store. It's got 1,500 apps currently offered in this marketplace, and more are being added regularly. There's 50 being added right now, and they're slowly being rolled out over the next few months. So there's everything from Dropbox sharers to SurveyMonkey, on-the-spot SurveyMonkeys, to all sorts of stuff that you can integrate into your meetings directly. Yeah, so it's going to be pretty cool what you're going to be able to do with it. You can even do things like a group buy. So, say for example, you've got 5 stores and you've got all the managers together.
Yep.
You can go to a website like eBay, for example, and you can purchase, or Officeworks, and you can purchase 5 of those tablets, one for each store, and it'll automatically distribute. When it goes to checkout, it'll distribute them all to each store.
Oh,
and
nice.
it's got all your normal sales and marketing stuff with your calendars and your, all the collaboration stuff. So it's going to be really cool. It's being launched under the name Zaps, as in Zoom apps.
Right.
So something to check out. And if you want to, integrate more features into your Zoom meeting, I did see it, some of it when I logged onto Zoom to start our meeting earlier. They had a thing up saying, "Have you tried our new apps and stuff now?" So that would be cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And thanks for listening to the Aussie Tech Head Show. We can be found at Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, and Coffee. Email us willarwarlock@aussietechheads.com.au and go to aussietechradio.com, 24/7 playback of tech-related shows from around Australia and New Zealand. See you next time.
Bye.